Hey, it's Fei Wu, your host for the Feisworld podcast. You're listening to a mini episode on how to produce your first small budget docuseries. These learnings are captured and distilled from our very own docuseries production journey for Feisworld. You don't need a fancy degree or a big budget. Our minis are built in with templates and examples you can use right away. Everything in plain English and no industry jargons. New minis are released every 2 weeks in between our interview episodes. Subscribe to the podcast to stay in touch. Hi there, this is your host, Fei Wu, and I'm the host for the Feisworld podcast. And today I'm bringing you another special docuseries mini episode. And today I want to talk about the topic, which is how to seek out the right people for your docuseries team. And this question came up a lot because people were curious how someone like myself, who has never worked in the film industry, to kind of put together and seek out the right people I want to have on my team. Not to mention that what goes without saying is the budget was also very limited. What I'm really hoping this episode will deliver is for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs out there. Perhaps that's yourself, somebody you know, like me, running a small company, small teams. And this episode isn't just about docuseries or documentary filmmaking. It's really for projects overall. Please let me know if you find this interesting, if there's any tangents and other things you would really like to discover and discuss with me. If you're an entrepreneur like me running a small company, hiring is inevitable. It's a lot of work, but if you're lucky, the right people perhaps are already present in your life who are eager to jump on a project with you. In that case, the only work remaining is to work out the schedule for the project to happen. Managing people adds complexity, especially if they're family or friends. The one advice I will leave you with for now is to make sure that you have a contract, especially if they're close to you. Find an attorney if you have no experience in law or preparing a contract. If you care about the person, which I'm sure you do in most cases, then sit down and read through the contract together, and you can put it behind both of you. If some verbiage seems a bit harsh or unnecessary, you can work with an attorney to soften them. Anyway, so let's move on to seeking the right people who can and should be on your docuseries or on your project team. Number one is the people who play well together and with each other. They have to be accepting and open. Unlike other short-term projects or projects where you can easily isolate a deliverable for someone to pick up, documentary teams feel a lot closer. It's probably not by choice, but often by design. Feisworld docuseries team isn't alone in this. Before we started pre-production, I consulted with a few industry friends who echoed the same and prepared me mentally, which is you're going to eat, drink, and live with those people for a considerable amount of time. Feisworld docuseries being the shortest and least complicated project in comparison, you're looking at a minimum of 6 to 8 months of constant interaction, out of which a few weeks of production period means that you end up in each other's faces all the time. And more likely, you'll be living in an Airbnb together as well. It was very helpful that several of my team members already knew each other well and are friends for years, even before they met me. They got along, I didn't mind challenging each other, or they could challenge each other on ideas, revisiting some of the decisions made without harsh feelings. It was a huge plus. With that said, I remember that I clearly articulated a thought before we went on the road. It was more of an expectation from a creator or someone who facilitated the project. So I said, hey guys, we're going to be tired, likely exhausted creatively, emotionally, and physically. If any issue comes up, let's make sure to talk about it openly and try to be accepting and open. Are we in agreement? It felt weird when I said this, and it almost felt entirely unnecessary. And I remember Dan and Ed and Rosie looked at me and smiled. Most things went well according to plan, which is rare to say in docuseries filmmaking. We didn't have to manage ourselves, but others who are there for the day or for a few days, such as our sound engineers and production assistants. So the dynamics isn't just about, the 3 or 4 of us. Number 2, people need to be talented, sure, but being reliable and happy is even more important. Talent alone is never enough. Often the most talented are also the most difficult to manage. I was very lucky to have worked with some incredible people on the team with zero attitude. The creatives on Feisworld worked and acted like they're genuinely happy with their lives, and working in this domain, the creative domain, is a privilege. The lifestyle sparks joy in their everyday life, and they're generally very happy people. I often tell others that if you have to choose between talent versus reliability, you'd be much better off choosing and picking the people who are a little less talented than you like and a lot more reliable than you think you need them to be. Number 3 is that you need people who you trust and share the vision you have. Whenever we speak about the word trust, our minds somehow just travel to some sort of life or death situation. Choosing the right people can be life-changing. Not only will it enable delivery of your dream project, more importantly, you're going to enjoy the process, the making of your dream project, that much more. It will be memorable and you'll be motivated to do it again and again. When you're surrounded by people you can trust, you can breathe more deeply, learn more quickly, feel okay when you're being more vulnerable. Trust me when I say there's nothing to date I felt more vulnerable than trying to shoot a docuseries and be in front of the camera expressing myself. I even cried once during the recording with Sarah Cooper, which you will see in the finished episode. The shared vision part is critical and most difficult to seek out. It's an area where you can't quite take people's words for it. Sure, most people know to be on their best behaviors during a job interview, but what they do on the job is what counts. Sounds a little scary, right? How would you know or assess if someone's for real? Consider one-on-one conversations and don't be lazy. I suggest you use Zoom or Skype with the video turned on if you don't live close enough to one another to sit at a coffee shop. Open up the conversation and don't just ask technical questions such as their experience, how well they operate a camera, their philosophy on filmmaking. Ask them about their lives, what they value, what picks them up. Don't go for the canned questions and you won't get canned answers. If you're going to spend the money and time on such endeavors, you might as well spend time to assess someone. For me, the right move was to consider the people I already worked with, or at least one of them. In the case of Feisworld, all the major players, director, producer, editor, are people I knew very well, trust, and eager to work with again. With that said, I did speak to each one of them individually beforehand to ensure that the new project, which is the docuseries, is something that interested them. Last but not least, number 4, people who are resilient, who do not sweat the little things. This is the last thing I will mention. In previous episodes of the docuseries minis, I remember myself repeating the high probabilities of things going wrong. Look, people might get sick, guests might cancel the recording, they don't want to be in the docuseries altogether, the location might not work out, the weather can turn on us, the Airbnb doesn't work, which actually happened, the rental car is not available, the list goes on, and there's no way to predict what's going to happen on any given day. You want people who can laugh it off and move on to solution mode to figure out what is next. Don't sweat the small things, or the big things really. The panic, stress, blame won't help anyone or any situation. The process of making a docuseries is the antichrist of office politics. No finger pointing. You have to come together as a team, as people, and make decisions quickly. Fail, get up, and do it again. All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode 106 of Feisworld docuseries, and we have a few more to produce, but I would love to hear your feedback and what you like to hear next, and if you're able to apply these learnings to your filmmaking project or your small project. So let me know. I'm all ears. I can be found at Feisworld, FEISWORLD everywhere. If you want to send an email, that is hello@feisworld.com. And I would highly encourage you to go back and revisit some of the existing episodes from the docuseries minis as well. We try to put as much information, downloadable documents and resources you can leverage right away. So we truly put a lot of attention and time to building out these short episodes. Yeah, if you love them, enjoy them, and maybe share with one more person. I will see you next week for an interview episode, and 2 weeks from now for a new episode of the docuseries minis. See you then.